Good morning, everybody. I beg your patience. The odds that my glasses are going to fog up while I'm in front of you are very high. So hello and welcome to Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey. I want to offer a special welcome to Governor Murphy and the special guest whose name I shall not announce over here. We're delighted to host the announcement and introduction of the next Secretary of the Office of Higher Education for the state of New Jersey. Governor Murphy, I was actually doing a little bit of math. Well, I should back up. Welcome to the Visitor Center. This is my first time in this space. Because we've been trying to keep our buildings unoccupied and doing the right thing. This is now building number 8 out of 1,000 plus at Rutgers that I've become acquainted with. And I mention this because Governor Murphy, doing my little bit of math, I realized I have met you in person more often than pretty much most of my staff down on Rutgers on the campus. We appreciate the support you offer by coming down and joining us here. And we're excited every time you do come down. Building that relationship is really quite critical. We are especially pleased that the governor decided to make this announcement today on our campus at the state's flagship, the largest research university. The choice underscores the close bond and partnership that Rutgers has with the state and reflects Governor Murphy's understanding of the importance of the university to the future of our state. These are critical days for New Jersey and for higher education here and across the country. I'm excited that Governor Murphy has selected a new partner for our institutions as we tackle the challenges we face both now and in the post-COVID world. And in a little bit of research I've been able to do since I learned the news yesterday, he's made a fabulous choice. Ladies and gentlemen, Phil Murphy, Governor of New Jersey.
Thank you. I'm going to only, while I'm speaking, I will take this off just so you can properly hear me. Good morning, everybody. I think we had intended originally to have this under that tent. And I think it's a blessing that we're inside as long as we stay away from each other. Good morning and happy Friday. Wishing everyone in advance a happy Halloween. Thank you to Rutgers University right up front and President Dr. Jonathan Holloway for hosting us and welcoming us. It is always a pleasure to be at our state's flagship university on the banks of the old Raritan. And to add to your point, I believe this is our third in-person meeting this month. One with Dr. Deborah Birx. We then had our quarterly give and take, which was in your offices, and then here we are again today. Before we get to the reason why we're here today, a couple of updates, one of which is really good, one of which is concerning. The update that's really good is as of 10 o'clock this morning, we have 3,166,242 ballots already returned, which is extraordinary. That's 80% of the entire vote in 2016, which is incredible. So again, I've said this many times, I don't care who you vote for, but I do care that you vote. So keep it up, folks, that's extraordinary. On the sobering side, 2,089 positive cases of COVID in New Jersey today, 7 fatalities, again, over 1,000 people in our hospitals. And the counties have been the big, largely metro New York counties, as I've been saying for the past week. Those are the set of counties where we saw this first flare-up in March and April. Middlesex, by the way, where we are as we speak, has 120 cases today, over 22,000 since this awful thing started in Middlesex County alone. No fatalities today, thank God, but over 1,200 lives lost in this county. So we are still in the fight, let there be no doubt about it. Let's get back to why we're here today. I'm incredibly honored this morning to announce my nomination of the guy to my right, Dr. Brian Bridges, to serve as New Jersey's next Secretary of Higher Education. Brian, congratulations. Today marks the end of a nationwide search to find an individual who shares our vision, who is experienced, and who is fully committed to ensuring that a college education in New Jersey is not just available, but accessible to all who want it. Brian's first day, if my math is right, will be November 16th. We can't wait, and he'll be following in some big shoes and those shoes are right in front of me. There are many reasons why I asked Dr. Zakiya Smith-Ellis to leave her post as Secretary of Higher Education to join our front office staff as Chief Policy Advisor. One of the biggest reasons was her dogged pursuit of ambitious policies that are student-centric and future-focused. Zakiya started us on a path to not just making higher education more affordable, but to ensuring that the skills that our students gain today will translate more seamlessly into the real economy and the jobs of tomorrow. One of the programs that Brian will inherit, in fact, is the Community College Opportunity Grant Program, which quite simply would not be the success it is today without Zakiya's leadership. So to you, Zakiya, thank you. And the woman to your left, another person I need to thank. I want to thank Interim Secretary Diana Gonzalez, who over the past few critical months worked closely with our colleges and universities to navigate the challenges of the pandemic as they prepared for the current academic year. I am proud that Diana will stay on to continue serving as a critical member of our team. And at this point, I can say, Diana, you and I go way back, and thrilled that you're still on the boat. So to Zakiya and Diana, thank you. So now we ask Brian to take the helm of this extraordinarily talented team. And as he does, I know he'll have a tremendous support system at home with his wife, who I've just had the honor of meeting. Jessie is right before me, and she's with us today. Daughters Kayla and Aria, who are not with us, but we wish them the very best. I also want to acknowledge Brian's sister, Natalie, who is also with us and a proud graduate of Montclair State University. Making college more affordable and accessible has been a hallmark of our mission. And as we look to what New Jersey will look like post-COVID-19, we know our institutions of higher education will play a huge role in making our state and our economy stronger, fairer, and more resilient. And Brian is just the leader we need to continue turning this vision into reality. I know he will continue the office's strong working relationship with Dr. Holloway and his colleagues across our institutions. I know he will also work with our legislative partners, and especially to whom I reached out this morning and sent notes to, Senator Sandra Cunningham and Assemblywoman Myla Jacey, the chairs of the respective higher education committees in the Senate and Assembly. Brian's career has been dedicated to expanding opportunities for students to both attend college and to secure a good job on the other side of graduation day. He will join our administration fresh from serving as Vice President of Research and Member Engagement at the United Negro College Fund, an organization whose commitment to equity and opportunity needs no explanation or qualification. As the Chief Research Officer at UNCF, he has led the Frederick D. Patterson Research Institute, the Institute for Capacity Building, and the UNCF Career Pathways Initiative, which is focused on improving job placement outcomes for students at our nation's historically black colleges and universities and predominantly black institutions. Jonathan Holloway, may I invite you back up to give a little bit more color on the Frederick D. Patterson and how that hits very close to home.
This is an audible, ladies and gentlemen. When I received the news of this incredible appointment, I had this strange but wonderful experience seeing that one of the key leaders of the College Fund was coming up to be a leader in the state of New Jersey. Some of you may know that I have family relationships with the Hinningberg family. Gus Hinningberg, late Gus Hinningberg, was a powerhouse in Newark. What you would have no reason of knowing is that my grandfather, Bill Trent, was the first executive director of the College Fund. So this became a strange moment of the ancestors speaking to me in really wonderful ways. And in fact, the Frederick Patterson Institute, there were photographs I know from our family albums of my father and Frederick Patterson, my grandfather and Frederick Patterson, doing summer retreats, mapping out the future of the funding for higher education for African Americans. So I'm thrilled in a whole other kind of way that transcends policy and strategy. So thank you, Governor.
Thank you, John. How cool was that? And Zakiya, I want to give an assist to, who came into my office yesterday and said, "You're not going to believe how small the world actually is." Brian is a past Vice President for Diversity, Access, and Equity at Ohio University, former Associate Director of the Center for Advancement of Racial and Ethnic Equity at the American Council on Education, and also former Associate Director of the Indiana University Center for Post-Secondary Research, which is responsible for administering the National Survey of Student Engagement. Brian, I'm going to put you on the spot. You also have a PhD from Indiana University. You may note that tomorrow at 3:30, Indiana University will be playing here against Rutgers University, and I think the first litmus test, Jesse, I think you'll agree with me, is which side you'll be rooting for tomorrow. Now, if you tell me you're going to wear red, that gets you nowhere because both teams claim red as their color. So Jonathan and I are going to come back to you. Yeah, that's a perfect. There you go. There you go. A complete setup here. A complete setup. And for good measure, all kidding aside, Brian also brings with him an understanding of what it is to stand before a classroom. As a former adjunct assistant professor of higher education administration at George Washington University. Brian's educational and career arcs have bent toward ensuring strong and just learning environments for students, especially minority students, wherever they attend college. He knows firsthand the issues and challenges which face our colleges and universities and the students they serve. But with a strong background in policy and research, he also knows what it takes to overcome those challenges. I will close with something I said when I nominated Zakiya to serve as Secretary of Higher Education. It's hard to believe this, Zakiya, February of 2018. It feels like 20 years ago at this point. I said then, as I've said many times before, that I wanted New Jersey's chief export to start being something other than our high school seniors. Over the past nearly 3 years, we have worked hard to see more young students create their futures here and to allow more older New Jerseyans to head back to school to expand their skills. To keep moving forward requires a continued focus on affordability and capacity building. It requires that we put the needs of our students first. And it requires us to continue lifting up our colleges and universities and working in partnership with administrators and educators to keep these institutions among the very best in the nation and indeed in the world. People from all over are now looking at our institutions of higher education with new eyes. Global research universities like right here at Rutgers and nearby at Princeton. Regional powerhouses like the College of New Jersey, Rowan, and Stockton, to name just 3 from many. And county colleges that offer educational value unlike any other state. When they look at our colleges, they see the great diversity and opportunity of New Jersey. And with Brian leading the charge, I am confident that they will continue to do so. With that, it is my honor and privilege to introduce the next, subject to Senate confirmation, obviously, the next Secretary of Higher Education. Please help me welcome Dr. Brian Bridges.
Thank you, Governor Murphy, for that warm and enthusiastic introduction, and for the confidence you have in me to serve as the next Secretary of Higher Education of the great state of New Jersey. I'm humbled by this honor, and I accept the challenge to do everything in my power to fulfill the obligations before me. And if I could take a point of personal privilege, since, Governor, if you give permission to take my mask off, I'll have mask beard, but hopefully people will forgive that. I want to thank Dr. Holloway for hosting us here at Rutgers and allowing me to be let into the kind of behind the scenes around your family history and its connections to UNCF. And so thank you for that. I'm a bit of a historian at heart, and so love to see how the ancestors spoke to you and are speaking to me as well. I also want to thank Lieutenant Governor Oliver and the governor's staff, also have been extremely supportive in helping me to make this transition. And it'll be easier for me to read this if I can put on my glasses and look down. I want to give special recognition to Zakiya Smith-Ellis, the previous secretary who continues to serve Governor Murphy and the state of New Jersey as Chief Policy Advisor, for the wisdom and knowledge she has imparted to me during this process, and I will try not to distract her too much from her new job as I seek out her mentorship in the initial months. I also look forward to working closely with Senate President Sweeney and Speaker Coughlin in navigating the confirmation process and subsequently in my new role. In addition, I look forward to working closely with key legislative leaders, most notably the chairs of the Senate and Assembly Higher Education Committees, Senator Sandy Cunningham and Assemblywoman Mila Jacey. I believe we can continue to achieve great wins together for the students of this state and look forward to future collaborations. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about me. The governor gave you some key highlights from my career, but allow me to take a few minutes to fill in the spaces between the lines by sharing a bit about my background and talking about some beliefs I have about higher education that I am confident can be helpful on our ensuing journey together. I am a child of Brooklyn, New York, and Beaufort, South Carolina, a child of a praying and loving grandmother who was born in 1911 and only achieved a 6th grade education, but who always had a love of reading and learning. This was a love that she instilled in her children, who subsequently passed it on to her grandchildren. And this love of learning lives on today, long after her earthly journey ended. But it comes to life every time I pick up a book. She instilled in me the importance of education as a pathway to a better life, not only for me, but for my entire family. And she nurtured in me strong beliefs that remain applicable today. Those beliefs include a commitment to facilitating equity on college campuses, a dedication to using evidence and data to drive institutional transformation and change, and a dedication to mentoring students and enabling their success. Now, I've held a wide range of diverse roles in my higher education career over the past 25 years or so, which have afforded me opportunities to serve as a faculty member, both an academic administrator and a student affairs administrator, a researcher, and a mentor and advocate for student success. Those experiences have allowed me to appreciate the value of cooperation among all parties, including and especially understanding the role of labor in developing solutions. My experiences at both public and private universities, at leading national nonprofit associations that advocate on behalf of a stronger, more equitable higher education enterprise, have prepared me well to effectively serve New Jersey as the state navigates COVID and continues to refine its first-in-class post-secondary system. And while I'm on the subject of COVID, let me say that I understand the pain and disruption that students, their families, in our colleges and universities are feeling. I can say, however, that my work experience during this pandemic, helping historically Black colleges and universities navigate this crisis, is instructive for the rest of higher education. Recent news articles have highlighted how COVID cases are lower at HBCUs and how these campuses can serve as models for opening responsibly. Over these last several months, my colleagues at UNCF and I have collected data on how COVID is impacting students who were already vulnerable prior to the pandemic, have helped to provide faculty development opportunities to sharpen their online teaching skills, have developed new partnerships to help institutions pivot to virtual learning environments, and have worked collaboratively with our member HBCUs to develop long-term strategies to emerge from the pandemic stronger than before. HBCUs enroll many of the students most disproportionately affected by COVID. And I believe the lessons I bring with me from my prior experience will be instructive in helping institutions think through the coming months as they deliberate about how to best serve their students, keep them, the faculty, and the staff safe, and chart a course toward the post-pandemic world. Zakiya provided an excellent foundation for us to build on further, a foundation that has set up the colleges and universities in the state to better serve their students and the employer community. I'm excited to advance the governor's higher education agenda even further. The state plan for higher education, where opportunity meets innovation, I love that title, is the blueprint for how higher education in New Jersey should evolve in the coming years. And I anticipate opportunities for leveraging it for even greater progress. The promise of the future is in that plan that was created collaboratively with higher education leaders across the Garden State. And just as college presidents, faculty, staff, and students work closely with Zakiya and the fantastic team at OSHE to create it, I look forward to working closely with the higher education community to fulfill it. I stand before you as a testament to the emancipating power of a post-secondary education in the lives of those who have full access to it. I grew up during a time in a community where many young people who looked like me did not go to college or even aspire to. It wasn't because they didn't have the ability, but they had no experience seeing people who looked like them successfully acquire a college degree and leverage it for good in their lives and in the community. I don't want a single person who aspires to do more with their life to be hopeless. In the words of Dr. King, we must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. And I want to not only spread hope across New Jersey for college aspirants, I want to turn their hopes into reality. And I believe putting our shoulders to the wheel and working collectively, we can do that together. In closing, I want to thank a long line of family members and friends who have shaped who I am, from the triumvirate of women who were critical to my upbringing, my grandmother, my Aunt Queenie, and my mother. I want to thank my wife and partner, Jessie, who is here with me today, our daughters, Kayla and Aria, who cannot be here, but also my parents, Nathaniel and Delphine, both who are in Brooklyn, my sister, Natalie, a graduate of Montclair State University and who is here, and all of my other siblings who are in Brooklyn and Ohio, as well as my friends, colleagues, and acquaintances who've contributed in some way to my ability to stand here today. I also want to thank the many mentors who have molded me from rough clay into what you see before you today. Thank you again, Governor Murphy, for entrusting me to serve as the next Secretary of Higher Education of the great state of New Jersey, and I look forward to fulfilling the promise of this moment. Thank you.
Let's hear it one more time. Dr. Brian Bridges. That's it. Dr. Holloway, thank you as always. Good luck tomorrow. I'll be watching tomorrow as I did last week every second. And thank you for your stewardship of this extraordinary institution, and I would say extraordinary stewardship since you came in on July 1st. There's been nowhere to hide as it relates to COVID and all the other stuff we're dealing with. So thank you and your colleagues for hosting us today. Brian, congratulations to you. Really excited to work with you. I know you'll be going through the Senate confirmation process, and we can't wait to have you in the seat. Jessie, honored to meet you. Please give your blessed daughters our very best. Natalie, we need to get you back to Jersey from the other side of the Hudson. Maybe get your parents as well one of these days. Zakiya and Diana, thank you respectively for your stewardship of the Office of Secretary of Higher Education. To each and every one of you, thank you. We'll be probably with you, members of the press will do a little gaggle outside, but we'll be with you electronically the next couple of days and probably virtually on Monday, which is what we've been doing of late. Thank you all. Thank you. Congratulations.